Everybody vibes with the all-new Camry, a standard 225-horsepower engine and an available sport-tuned suspension provide the power and agility to take you anywhere, and to do it in style. With available features like the two-tone midnight black metallic roof, color-matched sport grille, panoramic glass roof, and cockpit red leather trimmed interior, the Camry has never looked better. And because every all-new Camry is a hybrid, it delivers up to an EPA-estimated 51 miles per gallon combined. Whatever your vibe, it's a Camry vibe. Learn more at toyota.com/Camry. Hello, from Wonder Media Network, I'm Jenny Kaplan, and this is Womanica. This month we're talking about adversaries, women who fought for their place in history. Whether they fought to get to the top of their sport, against how society perceived them, or fought with each other to be champions. We're talking about women who broke barriers and sometimes did seemingly impossible or unspeakable things to carve out their place in history. Like the barrier breakers we're covering this month, our partners at Camry are inspiring women to seek knowledge, creativity, joy, and experiences that will continue to push boundaries. A woman scans a 12-foot-long circular stone. It weighs roughly 54,000 pounds. Etched into the stone are faces, shapes, animals, and symbols. It's believed to be an ancient Aztec calendar, but of what exactly, no one knows. This woman is undeterred and painstakingly annotates every scratch, divot, and line. She takes a step back. She cross-checks images on the stone with other artifacts she's researched. She bites her pencil and gets in close again. Today's Womanican was actively sketching out a new image of the Aztec Empire. Her work would change the conversation about pre-Columbian civilizations. Meet Zelia Nuttall. Zelia was born in San Francisco in 1857. She was born into an upper-class family. Her mother was the daughter of a wealthy Mexican banker, and her father was an Irish physician. As the story goes, Zelia's first glimpse of Mesoamerican culture was from a book that her mother gifted her. It was a replica of ancient manuscripts that had been found in Mexico. The pages were filled with brightly colored images of feathered serpents, gods, and ancient people. Zelia's exploration started early. When she was 8, her family traveled to Europe. For the next 11 years, Zelia was taught by tutors and governesses as the family bounced around the continent. She became fluent in Spanish, German, French, and Italian. She took a particular interest in learning about ancient civilizations. In 1876, Zelia and her family returned to San Francisco. There, she met and married Alphonse Pinard, a French anthropologist. In 1881, Zelia followed her new husband on expeditions to Europe and the Caribbean. But her marriage was not as exciting or as loving as she'd hoped. Pinard was cold and distant. The couple was so unaffectionate, they sometimes were mistaken as siblings. There was one expedition that distracted her from her disappointing marriage. The couple traveled to Mexico, and Zelia was excited to explore the other side of her heritage. She found comfort in exploring rural towns and time-worn ruins. She began learning Nahuatl, the Aztec language that many indigenous locals still spoke. She honed her attention to detail, categorization skills, and intellectual curiosity. Later that year, Zelia returned to San Francisco to give birth to a daughter, Nadine, as Pinard set off to Central America. Zelia soon filed for divorce, which was a long and slow process that wouldn't be finalized for another 7 years. In the meantime, she continued looking more into Mexican artifacts. In 1884, she visited Teotihuacan, an ancient holy city near modern Mexico City. What remains are large, expansive pyramids and wide avenues out in the desert. As Zelia mused around the pyramids, she kept noticing tiny terracotta heads scattered about. As she collected them, she noticed the subtle differences between the heads and began categorizing them. In 1886, she published her first article in the American Journal of Archaeology and the History of the Fine Arts, The Terracotta Heads of Teotihuacan. Her findings began to add new color around what was assumed of pre-Hispanic cultures. She suggested the heads had been created at 3 different time periods and represented 3 different stages in the culture. Popular science of the time relied on inaccurate and often racist beliefs about ancient civilizations. In her work, Zelia sought to push past those initial findings and rely on her observations to paint a more three-dimensional picture of these empires. Zelia's article was so impressive that she caught the attention of Frederick Putman, the head curator at Harvard's Peabody Museum of American Archaeology and Ethnography. He offered her a position as an honorary special assistant in Mexican archaeology. She accepted, and they remained friends for the rest of their lives. Zelia's career began to pick up speed. In 1886, she moved to Germany. She visited European museums and libraries that harbored ancient Mesoamerican texts and artifacts. She found a 16-page manuscript of Mixtec pictographs. Earlier scholars had cast it aside, but when Zelia began to translate it, she realized it was a historical manuscript. Her resulting translation and facsimile is called the Codex Nuttall. In 1892, she decoded one of Mexican archaeologists' most challenging puzzles, the Aztec Calendar Stone. She exhibited her findings in Chicago at the 1893 World Fair. Zelia was widely respected, but not everyone was rooting for her. One archaeologist, Leopoldo Batres, tried to steal her discoveries. In 1910, Zelia got approval from the Mexican government to dig on the Isla de Sacrificios, off the coast of Veracruz. She returned with pottery and accounts of a weathered wall on the island. She wanted to go back to conduct a more extensive project. But before she could, Leopoldo Batres traveled to the island and claimed Zelia's discoveries as his own. When she called him out in a rebuttal, he called her hysterical. This didn't stop her. Her research only expanded. Later, Zelia settled down in Coyoacán, a wealthy neighborhood in Mexico City, in a large, elegant mansion with an expansive garden. She became famous for her elaborate tea parties. During her career, she published more than 70 articles and 3 books. Not all of her theories were correct, but her work vastly rewrote how modern people viewed pre-Columbian civilizations and their history. She died in 1933 at the age of 75 years old. All month, we're talking about Adversaries. For more information, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Womanica Podcast. Special thanks to Liz Kaplan, my favorite sister and co-creator. Talk to you tomorrow. Everybody vibes with the all-new Camry. A standard 225 horsepower engine and an available sport-tuned suspension provide the power and agility to take you anywhere, and to do it in style. With available features like the two-tone midnight black metallic roof, color-matched sport grille, panoramic glass roof, and cockpit red leather trimmed interior, the Camry has never looked better. And because every all-new Camry is a hybrid, it delivers up to an EPA-estimated 51 miles per gallon combined. Whatever your vibe, it's a Camry vibe. Learn more at toyota.com/Camry.